We are constantly being inundated by brand new awesome commander cards every day of every year, it seems. But we took a moment with our chat during the last stream to look back at the year 2022 and look at the most impactful commander cards that were not reprints that year. We used EDH Rec data, which scans the whole internet for all the deck lists that people are posting, and we want to see what are the best non-reprint, most played commander cards that were printed in 2022. Real quick before we jump into this, if you would consider subscribing. Statistically, only 30% of the people that watch our videos are subscribed, and that click of a button does more for us than we could ever tell you. Click the button if you like this video by the end of it, and give me just a second, then we'll be right back with the 2022 most played commander cards, and you can tell us if any of them surprised you, because some of them surprised us.
Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat.
I did my thing here on Scryfall. I pulled a search up. You know I love searching Scryfall. It's one of my things. These are the top 60 cards being played in Commander. There you go. Did you get all of them? That was the whole video. No, we've got the top 60 cards. We're not going over all 60, but we've got the top cards that were printed in 2022 and are not reprints, meaning these cards were originally and exclusively printed in 2022, brought to us brand new for our Commander format and for funsies. There are quite a few very playable cards. I love at the end of every year when we are making, all the video makers are like, these are the best things in 2022. Enjoy our video, like and subscribe. But here in this video, what we get to do is see what people have actually been building into their decks from 2022. Because we've got enough good EDH Rec data at this point to look at all the 2022 cards and see what people are playing. So let's first split out the lands. Jake, what do you see? We're going to look at the lands and we're going to look at the non-lands so we can get a sense of what lands made it into this format and what individual cards did. What's your take on what you see here?
Cards that can do different things did really well.
Lands?
So you have lands that can channel and do something, or they can enter and be a land. You have lands that tap for 3 and can be a land, or they can cycle away for 3. So like the kind of stuff that had modes did well. Cards that had every land type did well. All of the cards that came out of Capenna that finished off the Triomes. Looks like some cards that provide protection for the commander did well. And then yeah, Demolition Field is like a better Field of Ruin.
Yeah, that new Field of Ruin.
Well, and then like discount fetch lands did well.
People, I've played these. I actually like these. When they ETB, you sack it, and then you can go get one of any of the 3 colors that it represents, and you gain a life. Comes onto the battlefield tapped, and you gain a life. I've played these. I like these. Discount fetches, super playable. I would just recommend budget-wise. These are fantastic inclusions. Chat, do y'all run these in your budget decks? Because I would think that people have been turned on to these at this point. And then, yeah, after that, we've got some gates popping up because of gates.
We got lands that were searchable, which is pretty sweet.
Exactly. Dual lands that entered the battlefield tapped, basically, were printed in Dominaria United. Yeah, Plaza of Heroes being the stick-out utility land from last year, Dominaria United. I play this card in pretty much every deck now. I have to have an argument against running it, not an argument to run it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
That is
it's like
the only time I get it cut.
In too many colors, you're like, okay, that's just not going to work because I'm in too many colors and the mana, the any color to cast a legendary spell just isn't going to work or something like that. There does have to be reasons not to run it, but yeah, right. It's a great card.
Looking at the triomes, those are self-explanatory. Cycling, you can search them up for the types. They count as the types. Secluded Courtyard ended up being our creature type card from that. This is getting slotted into like basically every creature type deck. This is just a redundancy. This is just more inclusion. Oh yeah.
Yep.
And then you've got the 4 good channel lands, and then poor little Sokin's on down here being like, I do things too better than Plaza. And Plaza's like, give it time, son. Give it time. I'll be in more decks.
Give it time.
Yeah.
Give it time. I mean, Boseiju, the Soaring City as well, Takanuma, those ones are my favorite ones. The Sultai ones, they're all extremely, extremely good. So I'm not even surprised to see them at the top of the list.
I have seen, obviously this one just is so powerful and it's so fantastic, and it's gonna absolutely be in there. Again, you have to have a reason not to run it over a reason to run it. Maybe your reason not to run it is that the cheapest copy is $31 and that this is definitely a commander reprint we already need. But I think they knew that printing that card. I think they knew they were getting themselves into there. Otawara, I've seen turn a game. Jake, a creature just at the right time bouncing back to your hand. Okay, my turn. And you're just like, son of a yeah, pass.
Yep.
And if you just need it, it's just a land. So yeah, look for those types of things when you're analyzing cards, chat. You got to look for stuff that, especially these lands, extra stuff tacked on to lands, extra utility out of one of the more clunky pieces of our game that make it our game. If you could do that, find those types of cards, pretty excellent. But looking at the non-lands specifically, I'll just say my very first comment is I'm very surprised at where Decanter of Endless Water falls on this list.
Interesting.
Yep. A common 3 mana rock. People hate discarding down. I saw somebody say it in chat earlier. People hate discarding down. They'll run Reliquary Tower in decks where you're like, why do you even, you're never going to need this. You're never going to be over 7. But people will just run it because they want to make sure. And I guess that's where Decanter of Endless Water is falling, is why it's popping up on so many EDH rec lists, is because I mean, it's a man of any color for 3, but there's a ton of artifacts that do that. Some of them are indestructible.
Yeah.
So that's like my
that
big
one's
surprise.
really wild to me.
Yeah.
That one's really crazy. Farewell, not crazy. An offer you can't refuse, not crazy. Both very good commander spells. Black Market Connections as well. You got Facebreaker, you got Big Score, both related to Treasure, which are extremely popular. An extremely popular archetype that gets better and better. An offer you can't refuse is just a really good top tier counter spell. It's a no shit button. Not everybody needs this card. Not everybody does, but those who do, they want it because they actually see the counter being more important than the controller of the spell getting 2 treasure tokens.
I'm telling you, I actually would argue that any deck with blue, if you're trying to make it a 8 or 9, like competitive just under CDH kind of deck, you should absolutely include this 100% of the time.
Non-creature is good. Run it with Swan Song. You want both,
right?
But
yeah. This one is so good. I run it in every historic brawl deck at this point that's got blue in it. It's just exactly like you said. I'm going to time it so that I care nothing about them getting 2 treasures, but I do care that I countered their, take an extra turn spell. Right?
Yeah.
That is, I have to use it, and I just have to include it. Yeah, this is a no-brainer. I think we knew when it came out. Everybody pretty much called this one. Same with Farewell. It's just strictly better than cards that people were already playing. Black Market Connections is an interesting one because this one is a $26 enchantment. Only came in the Commander deck, if I'm not mistaken. It was only available in a Commander deck, and so very difficult to get. I see mostly people choose all 3 options: lose 5 life, get a treasure token, draw a card, create a 3/2 with Changeling.
Yeah.
Insanity. Just the value off of this, the speed at which it can get you ahead of everybody else. This is a card that lots of people are playing in lots of different decks. It is 6 life. Sorry, I said lose 5. It is 3, 2, and 1. Math is not my strong suit. I have an MTG YouTube channel. Professional Facebreaker. This is a good one too. I just wrote a short, actually. I haven't produced it yet, but I just wrote a short about Streets of New Capenna and cards that you could pick up for $5 or less that are going to be just kind of generically strong wherever you want to put them. This, you got to only have one creature dealing damage every turn and you're making a treasure token. And then it's that anytime you just drop it onto the field, you've already got, what, 5 to 10 treasures. Drop this onto the field. That basically says draw 5. Because you're going to get to play those cards this turn. It's been very strong. This is a very interesting one to me that it has made it into this list, but it's just all of these types of red cards stapled together and made 4 mana. And I think the instant speed is really helping here too.
This is just, I mean, it's a thrill of possibility with 2 treasure tacked onto it. It's exactly what it is. So it's, it just kind of speaks to how important velocity is to people.
Ramp you up.
Really good. Yep. Ramp you up. Yeah. It's red ramp. Red ramp.
Oh, I actually just saw somebody in chat point out, thank you, S94TV. In the new Rowan deck, Rowan cares about how much life you've lost in a turn before you activate her ability. This is automatically 6 lost, and you got so much value for that 6. You didn't dump that 6 into like a random creature or enchantment that just wants to eat your life total. You got some really good value off of it. So yeah, that's a good way to make a grindy long-term deck. Jake, have you played with or against Braid's Arisen Nightmare?
No, I haven't. I did pull one of these and I'm interested in building it, but it is it looks pretty brutal.
Yeah, it is surprisingly brutal. It doesn't read super strong, but in practice, I've seen it kick some ass. Beginning of your instep, let's walk through this one. Beginning of your instep, as the controller, you get to choose between artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker, and you can sack one of whatever type of those: artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, then each opponent has to make a choice. They can either sacrifice a permanent that shares a type with that thing you sacked, or if they don't, they lose 2 life, and you as the controller get to draw a card. This is the kind of card for 3 mana. Bro, if you're building this into a deck, you probably have ways to make creature tokens. You probably have ways that you want your enchantments or your lands to die and come back somehow. And so it is just, I've seen this one develop so much value off a board and people still aren't even analyzing it as the threat. You know, it's that kind of card.
Yeah, pretty strong. 3/3 for 3.
Crazy. Power creep has happened. This one, Jake, I think people had a lot more hype for. This one was a very expensive card out of the gate, but it's now down to $6.89.
Yeah, pretty big adjustment on this card. Any sort of bear like this is going to have a lot of hype right out the gate. And
I think CEDH thought it was going to be more valuable to them than it actually ended up being.
Yeah.
Because it's going to proc off of fetch lands.
People are going to search their libraries and stuff like that. You're going to gain life and draw. I think if you resolve this card early on, you can definitely get value out of it. I don't know how much value you're going to get, but if it comes on the battlefield early and it's not dealt with, you're probably going to gain a good bit of life and draw a good bit of cards as people fetch.
Yep. Tomio's safekeeping, 1 mana, instant speed, hexproof, and indestructible. You also get to gain 2 life, but who cares?
Kind of effect. Yeah, just like, honestly, like a baby heroic intervention.
Yeah. Reality chip. I've seen some fun play lines with this. I've never seen it really like super pop off, typically because it gets aced. I see this thing just get owned so fast as soon as it hits the battlefield.
Yeah, it really is like a lightning rod. Just like kill it with fire. But I'm not surprised that card did work. I mean, we always say, you know, if you can play stuff off the top of your library, it's a big deal.
Right. Going down past Shieldred, that, yeah, I mean,
it's just, I admire its purity, dude. It's a very, very basic as hell card. Just a 4/5 for 4 with death touch. Honestly, when you think about it like that, not much going on. But whenever you draw a card, you gain 2. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2. That ability right there by itself is a backbreaker.
Well, there's just a lot of card draw. So much more card draw in Commander. You have people casting draw 10 just to, you know, and so if they're losing life, it's a great little tax effect. And it's kind of got an interesting position in Commander, because in Standard, when it hits the battlefield, you're like, I got to kill that ASAP. But in Commander, it's like, I mean, it's not going to be super impactful immediately, but if you can get this down over the course of like 4 or 5 turns, it's really going to do some crazy work. So it's like, do I kill it now? Do I kill it later? Do I even kill it? Can I kill them before I kill it? It makes you make some decisions. Like Displacer Kitten does. The decision is, do I have removal in my hand, and how fast can I use it? That's really the only discernment you need to make with this one, because this is a good way to get crazy infinite. And just these flasher decks, any of these like Raynar, any of the flash decks that let creatures re-enter the battlefield, they're getting more value, they're returning stuff to your hand with Venser. This one is like up in that tier with enchantment decks for me, where it just tilts me the hell, all the way to hell.
Yeah, you need 2 removal to deal with it, and it's one of these cards where it's really like a Deadeye Navigator for your instance and or your non-creature spells, excuse me.
Right.
It's like, as long as you're casting non-creature spells, then you're going to be able to get all of your stuff out of range of your opponent's removal. And yeah, man, it's just a busted card.
That's the top 12. Let's take a peek real fast at the next that get us down to 20. We'll just kind of fly through them here. LSL Core is a huge piece of Aristocrat stuff. I mean, right here, you're looking at 2 of the best Reanimator targets that came out of this entire year. The kind of stuff that if you can get it onto the battlefield, it can just take over, you know?
Progress Tyrant, dude. That card is so nutty. It's just, it counters the first thing. It's like anything that just has a passive effect that says no first time, and then you have to do something else. Man, it's an amazing card. And then Ancient Copper Dragon, I'm one of the few people who've actually taken a bite out of one of these, and oh man, does it taste good. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you roll a d20. You create that number of treasure tokens. So just by this dealing some combat damage, you could get enough treasure to just pretty much cast everything in your hand. It's pretty crazy.
Kodama is going to let your modified creatures search you up lands. I think there's some crazy combos where you just can get your whole land base onto the battlefield.
That card is good.
Yeah, 3 mana for that mythic. 3 mana from Baldur's Gate, giving all your tokens added 1 green. I mean, and that just says tokens, y'all. That's looking at food. That's looking at treasures. Your treasures, you don't have to sack them anymore. As long as you need green, they just tap for green. Plus, this can be your commander, and you can choose a background with it. So Jaheira was actually one of the ones that I was surprised to see up here, especially above cards like Relic of Legends, March of Swirling Mist, Junji, any of these cards that just seemed like they were going to be huge staples. And you can kind of see down as we get deeper into the 60 where the cards fell here. Fable Mirror the Breaker, wow, look at that. The card's good. I haven't noticed. But this one was one where I was a little shocked. I was not shocked to see 2 great removals. 1 removal is just like can't be countered, destroy anything except the land, and if as long as you're in these 3 colors. And then this, an ETB creature that destroys an artifact and enchantment and has more upside. Oh yeah, dude.
It's so busted.
Talking about flicker decks, this is definitely a card you want to run in there.
Yeah, really strong card. And then it has a little bit of a group hug effect built in there. You and target opponent each draw a card. So if you want to play some politics, Lauren of the Third Path is a good way to politic a little bit. Then we do have the Lion Sash for 1 white and 1 other. That's going to allow us to exile target card from a graveyard. And if it was a permanent card, put a 1/1 counter on Lion Sash. And then it also has reconfigure the mechanic that came out of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So very strong card there that eats graveyards. Cards like those are really good in Commander as well.
Yeah, got the ooze, but it's in white. And it can equip to a creature and become an equipment. Kind of interesting. So that's a look at where 2022 actually fell out. As far as the cards that people actually played, there are some ones that we knew were going to be up there. Offer You Can't Refuse, Reality Chip. I'm pretty sure we were talking about cards like this when we were doing our initial review of the Commander set. But cards like Braids Arisen Nightmare, Decanter of Endless Water, we didn't call these cards to be as played as they were, but they certainly were. It's a good year for Commander, though. We got some cool toys.
Yeah, Farewell is a card that's really interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that a modal 6-cost card would have done so well.
Yeah, second most played card of the year was a giant, ridiculous removal.
Yeah, but you can see this is the power of, and we can learn a lot from the text that says one or more. Because unlike other board wipes where you think like, okay, you have to pick and choose, even with Nova, like we were talking about, you pick between creatures or you pick between artifacts and enchantments. Yeah, it's really cool.
It's nuts.
It's just modal.
Hey,
modal is good.
If you're watching this after the fact and you're not subscribed to our channel, that means that you are like 70% of people that watch, and that's completely fine. But if you want to join the 30, join the channel and click subscribe.
It does a lot more than just sign you up for the next video. It actually recommends our content to other people so that it can help us grow the channel.
Thanks, loves. We'll see you at the next Wednesday stream. Wednesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Come and hang out. Hey, chat, look. Oh, I thought I saw bootlegger stash. I did. Bootlegger stash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times 4. Jake, what's 4 times 12?
48.
The 48th most played card of the year is bootlegger stash.